just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
what's up, man?
Hey, Dave. How are you?
Doing well, man. I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys last week.
Hey, I'm glad you are back, Mr. Director, Mr. Engineer. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work running the show. So great job, and yeah, God bless you. So, and thank you for all that you do, sir.
Cool. Well, thanks for holding it down while I wasn't here.
You're appreciated. You're missed. And yeah, so how was it? Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was fun. Mr. Jeff Rush checking in to say hi. What's up, Jeff? Good to see you, my friend.
Good evening, Jeff. Little leadership conference, huh?
Yeah, just went to Orlando and had a good time. It was fun, man. It was
great.
It was almost too short, but
okay.
I got back in town. I had to do weddings Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. A lot of makeup weddings. So don't let that be like, oh my God, 4 weddings in a row. But a lot of it was makeup stuff. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So still in that season of getting those done.
Yeah.
And I'm getting in the car tomorrow morning, and me and Nick, my other co-host of my other podcast, are heading up to South Carolina to meet with our third counterpart. He's coming from Virginia. We're coming from Florida, and meeting in the middle.
Okay. Very cool. Where's Mr. Gabe at? Did we forget to bring him in?
Oh, no, right there. Right on cue.
Happy Monday, everyone.
I'm like, where is Mr. Gabe? How are you, Gabe?
Chilling, man. Chilling.
All right, cool. Anything in the news with you, buddy?
I've been listening to this track over and over. I love it. It's by Dom Dalla. It's called Pump the Brakes.
Okay.
It's going to be an amazing summertime jam, especially a ton of remix coming out for that.
All right.
Yeah.
If
definitely
I hear, obviously, Travis Scott and Goosebumps is on the constant Let's Play every half an hour on my local radio station. No offense, DJ9 and Q102, but man, if I hear Goosebumps one more time, I swear, oh my God.
You mean it's not giving you goosebumps to hear it?
I get goosebumps every time. Oh my God. It drives me wild. It's just yeah, it's just one that's just it gets under my skin for some reason. I hear it so much,
Yeah.
It was almost like Cake by the Ocean. They played that the same way, and I'm just like, I kind of liked it in the beginning, and then it was like I was going to kill myself. You're kidding me? We'll play Cake by the Ocean again, Like, oh my God. So, but anyway, besides that, how the rest of you doing?
Well, Dave, you mentioned something about gigging. I just want to mention, guys, there's going to be plenty of gigs coming up. Summertime's coming around the corner. I highly recommend this. You can't really see it, but it's an egg crate style sleeve for your laptop. So it's fantastic for when you're gigging. Great impact.
Do that again. I'm gonna put you on the big screen. Let's check that out again.
Yeah. More importantly, there's this bad boy. It's actually a brand called Mezzi, and they use those when they're doing Deal or No Deal. And you can find them online. They're great. They're like under $60 on eBay. And when you're gigging, your gear takes an impact. So,
what's the name of the company?
What's that?
What's the name of the company?
Mezzi, Mezzi. Yeah.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, good stuff.
Dropping that interest.
Oh yeah.
You know what? A shout out to Pro X, Dave. I know you got what was it? That stand for the
the cell phone stand. Yep.
Well, I took a step further and I got the triple one that does all three. It does the cell phone stand, it does the a microphone, and it also does a laptop. So
wow.
It's pretty fun. It's got the center, and then it's got these two, and all the little pieces that hold your stuff, and it's really cool. Because this weighs and it holds all the stuff. So shout out to Gabriel at Pro X.
Yeah.
And they're cool people. Yeah, they got some real cool stuff. And when I saw you ran out and got the cell phone thing, I said I had to take a good look at that because not only do I need it when I'm on gigs, I need it at home. And it's portable, and they give you a nice little carrying bag because when Gabe was talking about the mesh in the bag, it's the same thing. They put all those nice metal pieces into a little carrying bag that's very, very well padded. So I was impressed with how well padded that bag was when I got it. Oh yeah, no, great stuff, and yeah, shout out to Pro X Cases and Gabriel and all the people there. So last week, like I said, you let the lunatics run the show, and we did, and we had a great job at it. It almost wasn't going to happen like 2 minutes before the show.
Yeah.
Everything goes wrong. I'm like, okay, everything's perfect. Yeah, everything's perfect. 2 minutes before the show, all hell broke loose. I'm just like, okay, show must go on.
Yeah,
And it did. And you know what? It went off really cool.
Yeah.
It went off so cool that I lost track of time once again.
Yeah, it happens.
When I was supposed to do that. What's up there? That's Stretch 215, Jason Bacchus.
Yeah, but Throwdown's an amazing guest. So I'm glad we had him on. Yeah.
And that was, last week, DJ Throwdown 2018 and 2019. He's the dual champion there for the DMC scratch battle.
Yeah.
Thanks for him for coming out. So, who we got tonight?
Tonight we have Sami Scoda, residing in LA, marketing and management guru, background in automotive as well as outdoor sports. Always a DJ. She was an audiophile, really into house, deep house, new disco, and stuff like that. And now she's VP of BASSBOSS, which is it's a speaker company. It kicks out like high fidelity, massive output. And I'm really excited to have her on. So without further ado, let's bring on Sami Scoda.
All right, Sami.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
BASSBOSS. Love it.
Indeed. Yeah. Music made physical is our motto, our credo, and that's what we do. We translate music into a very unique physical experience that's super exciting.
Gotcha.
What size are those BASSBOSSes behind her?
I'm sorry?
What size is that behind it? Is that a 12?
Oh, yeah. We have our SV9, which is a very compact but capable small top, two-way, full range. And below it, we have a BB15, which is our small, compact 15-inch subwoofer. And it's been really well received by our wedding DJ. It's not the Kraken.
It's a 9-inch top and a 15 sub?
Yeah, essentially it's like an 8.5-inch woofer in our SV9 and a 15-inch sub. And the sub's only 70 pounds, features a 2400 watt continuous RMS amplifier, RMS measured on a 30 hertz sine wave. And it really battles with cabinets much greater than its weight class, which is amazing. So for a mobile small wedding DJ that does not have big transportation but wants huge sound, that combination is epic.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they always have a nice sound room in the at the expo, the DJ expo in AC area. So.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we're hoping that it goes off without a hitch, and we're excited about that as well. How about you guys?
12th through the 19th. Do I have those dates right?
I believe it's 9th through the 12th.
9th through the 12th. Okay. It's like the second weekend. So I'm excited. I'm waiting. So we'll see. It's I'm skeptical because there's a lot of big bridal shows that I want to see happen first, and they're as they happen, we'll see what happens. But we're getting word that the local clubs that are around in the Philly area are starting to open back up again. How is it in LA? Are the clubs opening up yet out there?
We have some less restrictions enforced on the bar and restaurant scene.
Okay.
I haven't really observed many of the nightclubs opening up. Even in Orange County, some of the bars are still restricted. I have a few friends and chatted with a chap from Laguna Beach that has a tavern there called The Saloon. And they're still not open. There's a target date, I want to say June 15th for a larger reopening. But LA restaurants, there was quite a big influx over the weekend that I observed. Orange County has been a little more open in the restaurant scene, and some live acts outdoors, small live act events have been happening. Okay.
All right. Things are coming back. Look, and for all of us, especially David. Dave's constantly working because things in Florida, they're besides they never shut down. Those that did shut down, he's just got to work again and again and again. They make him work 2, 3 times, 4 times.
Oh yeah, we're like the Wild West down here.
Yeah, it is.
But we're keeping it safe though. We're keeping it safe.
Yeah,
which is good.
All right. Now look, I think there were some things, one of the new structures we do for our new season is like, hey, let's talk about certain things that are true and dear to you, and to your heart and to you as an entertainer. And before we hit to the one thing, I'm looking in the back. There are two. What are they? Denons behind you? Because that's your rig.
Yeah.
You're a DJ as well, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that is my rig. We have the SC5000 series media player, part of their Prime package, and their X1800 mixer. Very feature packed. A lot of really interesting bits. Up front on each player, there are performance pads allowing for cue point drumming, auto looping, and a few other features, which I really dig. Also, each player, you can take an unprocessed stick, pop it in there. It will be able to BPM, beat grid, and key right on the fly. So if you do happen to get tossed the stick, like one of the little things we do at a small club is we would sort of trade music sticks and see if you could hack it with somebody else's collection, and that just made for a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it was nice to have those things just have that processing power built right in. And they're 2 layers. So with two players, you actually have the power of 4 players without the spread, which is really wonderful.
Very cool. No, I saw them behind you. And I'm a big fan of Denon. And when I saw them, I said, "Ooh, wow, they." I think they're top of the line right now. Their newest stuff.
The current series is the SC6000, which has grown to a larger screen, a few other chassis upgrades and finish upgrades. And they have also incorporated a spot for an SSD drive. So if you essentially want to expand your collection, hop in a drive into each one of those players.
Amazing. No, that's amazing. I had to say something about your rig behind you because I'm just like, hearing. I'm like, ooh, that's cool stuff. Look at that, cool stuff.
And they are Serato enabled. As a matter of fact, most of the time I'll run Serato from the library advancement side of things, and we could touch on that, of course. But in Serato, what's really cool is one player can access all 4 decks in Serato.
Wow. Oh, that's
really cool tech.
So really, you only need one player to do an event.
Well, put it this way: if you had 2 players, you have the convenience of the left, right, some symmetry, some dual action, a little easier if you want to scratch in some stuff. But if you had one go down, which is super rare, or somebody decides to unload their drink on your player, you could finish the event with just a single player.
Similar to what is it? The instant doubles as you would with one turntable, something like that. Similar to that.
Yeah, you could do instant doubles on there, or access all of your decks from one player. So you could just use your upfaders and mix in and out with one player if you wanted to.
Very cool. All right. All right. What's up, Braden? How are you, Braden? And well, here let's jump right in. You wanted to talk about improving your sound, gain structure basics, fixing a common Serato mistake. Like, please divulge. I'm interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I kind of see this a lot, and if you have good ears, you'll pick up on it. But if you fail to do it, this will translate into, no matter what system you have, something that is very affordable or the best system in the world, you're going to induce noise. So the idea is, when you have a system capable of delivering the output you want with some excess headroom. If you do that, then you can make sure that your tracks are not pushed to their maximum. And I'm going to share my screen real quick, if that's okay with you guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Let's see if this comes up for us. You guys seeing that Serato page?
Not yet.
Okay, let me try and enhance that.
You might have to click share down on the bottom there and then share it to us, and then I'll throw it up here as soon as I see it come through.
Okay. Let me make one change in system preferences.
Yep.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is the common thing that I tell everybody when they're running a mixer and they're running speakers and they're running whatever, a sound processor through it, and they've got so many things and they've got so many different levels. I basically tell them to maximize or utilize their mixer the best that they can. So this is on the same principles. What you mean, like in other words, giving yourself enough room because you're not blowing everything out and redlining it.
Precisely, yeah. I know a lot of folks will incorporate something like a drive rack or another processor, and you can use that to either try and tune, balance, or manage your sound. But if it's coming out of your software, let's for example, Serato, if that's where you're running your system from, if you're generating, let's say, distorted output from that point, then everything else in the chain has to try and manage with it, but you really can't correct it. So it's imperative to fix it early on in your software, or at the very first part of your music source, which is the software. So are you guys seeing my Serato screen now?
Yes.
All right. So what I have is a track that's brought in. I haven't put any cue points to it. I haven't done really anything to it. I haven't checked the beat grids. Made any adjustments. So it's pretty raw, relatively speaking. I looped a section of track here, and I'm going to play it, and I want you to watch the VU meter right here on the track level. So if you notice, it's actually kissing right into the reds. So every time I import a track into my Serato library, I will allow it to analyze the BPM, the beat grid, and the key, but I will manually ignore the fact that okay, there's auto gain to allow your library to be a little more harmonious in regards to its output. But one of the things that I would rather correct on the hardware channel, like the channel gain of your mixer for a volume difference, than try and have the software do it all for me, because what happens is it doesn't keep it out of the reds. You know, you bring in the track, and I see many tracks come in, and they're hot, and they're kissing the reds. So I actually like to pull this down right to where it starts to kiss the yellows. I find the sound is much cleaner. And when I do that, the master output has been cleaned up as well. So now when I bring this track back in,
it remembers it, right?
It does. It's like metadata. So it will save it and actually recall that sort of
basically that's the individual trim for the channel for that Serato channel is what you're telling us.
Precisely.
Okay. All right. Now
so there we are. Corrected.
I also, Sammy, see next to the master UVs that same trim button. Does it work the same way as the master volume up on that button there?
It does, yeah. If we transfer over
but that would be for the whole. That's for everything, though. That takes both channels, though. Am I mistaken?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
All channels. So if you were running 2 channels, you would have that ability to correct for all 4 decks essentially.
Now, and here's what I've caught. And is it because somebody either passed me an MP3 or I got it from a pool or somewhere? I actually had one. I'm like, why am I? It's red. It was redlining out, but it was only that song. I'm just like, you could tell, and when it's like, sounds like it's being played through a wet paper bag. And I literally saw it. I mean, my eye caught it, and instead of being in the middle halfway, like or half of pie, it was 3/4 of a pie the whole way over. So I brought it down exactly as you said. Problem went away. The problem was it was the first time I had played that song, though.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why it's important to do some prep work before you go out with some new music.
Right.
I've seen, if you're relying on beat grids, depending on your environment, I've seen beat grids just totally not even close to where the 1 and 4, so you can manually edit those. But especially, I think if you're going for premium sound, you really want your events to be appreciated and people to be like, wow, that was really great. It wasn't harsh. I didn't have a lot of distortion there. Then it's important to clean them up as you bring these new tracks in. So if you wait and you're going to import 200 tracks, well, that's a lot of work. So I usually recommend bringing in smaller groups of tracks and go through them. I mean, if you're going to if you're going to set your cue points, then it just should be part of your workflow to go ahead and adjust your gain.
That is awesome. Now here's my question to this, and I love that you brought this up. Is there, and I don't think there is, because I've looked and I teach this as well, and this is going into my curriculum, by the way. But is there a MIDI map for any controller and or mixer that's out there on the market to control that dial?
I don't know if there's a automatic map, but
I don't
it
think-
should be something that you could map to
It
improve.
is something we could map, but there's not an auto map. I haven't seen it anywhere on any of these controllers that I've been playing with.
There really isn't. I believe that if I were going to, I would have a MIDI controller that was specific for my prep work and not have it for my live sets.
Okay.
Because if you nudge that too much, you could actually wipe out your system or really upset the guests that are there.
Okay.
I do find that manipulating this is a little touchy with the mouse and a trackpad. So I think mapping it and using a controller or of some flavor would be helpful, when you're doing your music prep. But I don't think I'd want it for a live set.
Okay. Throw down. I mean, and I had one. I didn't mention it, but it was a small little, I guess, a Lesis, not the drum pad, but it was more of a mixer, a smaller mixer. I bet we could map something towards that. But no, I like it being where it is because technically it remembers. Once we do it once, it remembers it. It's like
Absolutely.
the trim that's memorized and stays there. That's awesome.
It's
my God, that's so awesome.
It's like metadata essentially. So yeah, you make the correction and it saves it, which is really, really awesome. Now, interestingly enough, when I take a process stick of music, let's say from Engine Prime or whatever utility that I'm utilizing, and I drop those into CDJ or the Denon Primes, I don't typically run across a track that is running into the reds from the software element. It is a little more simplified. So if you like to play off of sticks, this isn't really an issue that you're going to run into. Obviously, your channel gain will be a correction that you want to make on the fly. But ultimately, in Serato, this is why I brought it up. A lot of people don't really pay attention to it. And, I've seen some just poor performances, even bigger names in a club. I'm like, oh boy. It's kind of it's I don't want to call it an amateur or rookie mistake, but I don't want to experience that from a headliner. Like this is stuff that, once you get to that level or even any level, know your tools, whether it's software or hardware based, know them and you could shine.
All right.
Real quick, Greg, I just want to address this question that Jay has before we keep going here.
Yeah.
Jay says, can Serato analyze the entire library and do that leveling?
So there's an auto gain setting in Serato, and what you could typically do is in a non-connected mode. And what I mean by that is we're not connected to any DJ hardware. I can grab an entire folder and drop it right into this analyze section, and it'll do a bulk processing where it's looking at where it'll assign BPM, key, and beat grids. It'll also, if we transition to our settings here and we look at our audio, DJ preferences, right here, there's an auto gain setting and you have adjustments. There's a 92 dB standard and you can go above or below that. But what I've noticed is with auto gain, it's targeting to have the output near the setting that you have here, but it doesn't actually pull anything out of the reds. So you can even set it at its lowest setting. And when you bring a track in, if it's hot, it will still kiss into distortion. So you're better off doing this manual step, even though auto gain may be part of the importation process.
Wow. Sami Scoda's Masterclass Volume 1, right here on In the Q Podcast. Love it.
Nice. There used to be software that automatically did it. I don't know if it still exists, but I used to recommend everybody and it would suck, putting your entire library through it. But it was called MP3 Gain, GAIN. It would really normalize all your tracks and take care of it for you. That was one of the things that I did. And Jeff, maybe that might help you instead of putting it through, SoundForge or something like that to take care of those levels. But all right, let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, if you start here in the software, the first part of your signal chain, and then you go to the hardware, at the mixer level, you go ahead and look to keep them out of the reds or wherever your threshold is. And then you can go to your speaker cabinets and you can raise the gains on your speaker cabinets to hit a desired level below its point of distortion. And at that point, there's your max position. If you're not hitting your SPL goals or your desired physicality at that point, unfortunately, guys, add more boxes.
Okay.
Now, if you want, we could stick with Serato and move on to some other tips and tricks or library management.
Yeah. The power. If you lose me, I'll sit by. I'm like watching the power and click.
I have a question about BASSBOSS. So in the arenas, they use acoustics and stuff like that. So what is BASSBOSS's niche market? Is it DJs? Is it entertainers? Mobile DJs? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. I think we touch a very broad audience. A big part of our family, we call our clients and our customers family, because once they join in, it's just a different experience. First and foremost, I feel like the amount of contact that we have with people and watching them share their happiness and their business growth, and just have this relationship that is different from a simply you're a number element. And they're a big part of what really brings joy to what we do, especially from the sales team element. But mobile DJs, of course, small to medium production companies, restaurant, bar, nightclub has been really big. And of course, fit clubs. So it could be spin gyms, it could be multidiscipline fitness facilities that bring in that high energy element. We've seen a lot of growth in that segment. And position in the market is pretty amazing, because what we're offering is component quality that rivals many of the quote import or exotic type manufacturers. I know you touched on L-Acoustics, and you have brands like L-Acoustics, Nexo, KB2, Martin Audio, Void. There are quite a few, and they come at a great cost in some regards from a dollar standpoint. In many cases, the mobile DJ, small production outfits wouldn't necessarily look at brands like that because it's simply not in their budget. BASSBOSS, while presenting the quality and delivering performance that rivals literally anyone in the industry, we've priced our products to be much more attainable by folks in a variety of our categories and segments. So it brings us a lot of joy, because all of us here at the company are just absolutely into music in one way, shape, or form, whether it's sound engineering, DJing, production, mastering. We all have a passion for music, and to be able to allow our products to reach more people because of our position, it's very rewarding. And the experience that we create at these events and that our BASSBOSS family is creating at these events is really epic, and that's the exciting part. You could do much more with fewer boxes, and in the long term, when I mentioned when you hit that point where you ran out of SPL, well, our boxes tend to deliver significantly more SPL and much more low frequency extension at full SPL than many of the other products on the market, and that allows you to do more with less, and that does help the end budget at the end of the day as well.
So is it direct to customer? Like if I wanted to kind of transition to BASSBOSS, do I walk into Guitar Center or do I contact BASSBOSS directly? How does it work?
Yeah, actually there's availability through Guitar Center, Musician's Friend, Woodwood, and Brass, and some other select retailers. If you do purchase direct, we are direct as well. Of course, you'll be working with somebody that can help advise, really understand your needs as a DJ or a business owner, a production company, or a nightclub operator. We'll look at your needs, help visualize your dream, and come up with a plan, even if it's a long-term scalable approach. We very much enjoy making phenomenal recommendations so that you have success in your business. It allows your brand to grow and increase, of course, bookings, loyalty, recommendations. So it's really a joy to work with people directly, because it builds that community that I mentioned, our BASSBOSS family of customers and clients. It allows us to build it, and it's a very enjoyable experience.
Nice.
So you have everything from a 9-inch top up to what?
So we stick with on the tops. We'll stick with a 12-inch driver for improved transient response, and our medium format line array is our largest cabinet. Obviously, line array, but even in a single box, its output is just absolutely phenomenal. It's mind blowing. Of course, in a array stack, it's incredible its capabilities. So the line array, the MFLA is a double 12, double compression cabinet, and then that 12 finds its way into our point source cabinets. We have a single 12 DV12 two-way point source with a compression driver and an isospheric waveguide, powered by a PowerSoft 3000 watt amplifier. We also have a double 12 two-way with a compression driver, and that's just phenomenal in regards to output and live sound utilization, especially. It's like my go-to box. It also adds flexibility in terms of positioning if you want to run that box horizontal or vertical if you're doing an install. Horizontal positioning and a horn rotation will definitely square that away. The DV12 has, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say the DV12 is unique in the fact that it's a very portable 62-pound-ish two-way point source cab that offers a very wide horizontal dispersion. And that covers banquet rooms and other spaces very well, especially as there's very little setback to the dance floor from where you DJ. People like to come up to the DJ as well. With that really wide dispersion, people are covered in that DJ zone, and they're also covered out on the left-right flanks very close. So that box gives you wide coverage, narrow vertical coverage, and deep throw. So that's one of our go-to for mobile DJs. It really has a ton of capability. And we've been told by many people that have auditioned these in demos and have stepped up to using DV12s, they can often replicate the sound of another brand that would require the addition of their 18-inch subwoofer. So our DV12 for smaller events can carry a full frequency response down to 45 hertz on its own. So it's really a very convenient box. And when made it with subwoofers, of course, its headroom is enhanced, and you can go from there. But we do have some other point source boxes that I'm happy to touch on. But 12-inch seems to be a wonderful position from the response standpoint.
All right, Sammy.
Do you have,
Yeah.
Sammy,
do you have baseballs in your muscle cars? Because I know you like to race.
Muscle.
That might add a little too much weight. We like to keep those things light. But yeah, I go out, hit the track, hit the canyons, and we could talk on that. We could touch on that base.
Actually, Sammy. Yeah. I want to talk about this because this is something, and I feel silly about this. Smart crates, and it's on our list, and I want to really get to these because look, we might as well call this show, instead of In the Queue, we call it ADD podcast, because we go left, we go right, we go up and down. We'll be talking about like Florida with you in about 5 minutes if we don't stay on point. But a regular crate is that amber looking crate, because I'm looking like right off to the side here. But the smart crates are these blue crates, correct?
Yeah, essentially.
Is that what now? No,
down here.
I need to. Can you give me, because this is where, and I'm glad this is recorded and I can go back and really do it. Can you give me somebody who needs, a one-time and what they are, how to use them? Because I love crates, and I actually like making crates within crates. I mean, it's all relative because you search for the songs, but I want to know what the smart crate is, why I should use them, and the difference with them in between the regular crates and a smart crate. Okay.
Absolutely. So smart crates are something I really and highly suggest. It's going to add a ton of efficiency to your library management, and it allows you to do stuff for special events. So for example, let's say you have an event coming up on June 14th, and you want to go through some of your regular crates, our orange crates, and curate, let's say, a selection of tracks so that you have a little more focus for your event. one of the ways that I do it is, as you'll see across the headings for our library, we have song, artist, BPM, key, genre, the number of plays for until we reset our history, and then something called comment. The comment I find to be a great way to set up some of your smart crates. So for example, let's go into 614. I've labeled these tracks with 614. The labeling occurred, maybe it might have happened in my primary all-encompassing EDM folder, and it might be my EDM main folder. So I can go through here.
You labeled each and every one of them differently within Serato under comment, correct?
Yeah, so
Okay.
what I would do is I might go through, if it's just an EDM-focused event or a hip-hop-focused event, I'll go through and I'll just kind of say, okay, well, this track I definitely want to incorporate, and I'll type in 614 in the comment. And what will happen is all these tracks are now marked with 614. The smart crate itself, we're going to edit that. And we have selectors, so variables. Essentially, it's like old school programming. We have our attributes or fields that we could choose from. In this situation, I'm utilizing comment. And the comment contains, is, does not contain, or is not. So you can create exclusions. But in this situation, contains. And then my little denotation, 614. So what happens is, all of a sudden, it automatically populates this smart crate with every track that I tagged with 614. So now on 614, I can go ahead, pull up this smart crate and mix from this specific crate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, well,
Exactly.
wait, what now? But once again, and I'm sorry for being dumb here because I am an idiot. But you pre-labeled each of those when you were, like, say we were doing our homework or you were doing your work before the gig. You had to tag all those in the comment section 614, right?
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
can you tag like 25 of them at once? Or no?
You can do a copy paste. So that's the easiest thing.
Okay.
There isn't a multi-selection to my knowledge, but a copy paste makes it easy. So you don't have to retype.
Now that I'm getting this, I got another question because I'm loving this. Say I was doing a car show. Couldn't I set one of the parameters for the song to have anything to do, like I could put the word car with inside the song or the word I was looking for, right? Correct? Okay.
Yeah, you can do, like, if you wanted to change the title and put car here, you could do that. Generally,
or just search for anything with the word car in the title, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So you can you can create that variable. Absolutely.
So that's another benefit of using smart crates. Then
Yeah. So here we go. Artist, or we can go to. There should be one.
We can also select everything within a certain BPM range.
Yeah, and you can have multiple rules per crate, per smart crate. So if you wanted to have a double filter, you could do that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. And that explains the keys, because you did keys at the bottom. You took it because it automatically recognized the keys. Okay.
Yeah.
All the way at the bottom.
I'm going to touch on that. So the reason I generally enjoy doing some harmonious mixing and staying in a key for a little bit and then transitioning.
Awesome.
In something that jives or works.
Yeah.
I move around. I don't always stay in a key, but I like to have some harmony in my mixes. So what I've done, and I did this strategically for a reason. The crate, the definition is very simple. Key is, and then in this instance, we're using, Serato likes to utilize the Camelot designation. So we have the Camelot designation there, and now all of my, everything in my library will populate into this smart crate. And one of the benefits of smart crates is you're not replicating or duplicating storage space. This is just an indexing system. So it acts like a crate without adding any space. Now here's the advantage. Once I get into these key crates, now I could simply go up to the library itself and say, okay, let me go into main EDM folder. I could sort it by key, right? And we can go through key by key. That's easy. Okay. So why do the smart crate? I'll show you. So when you go back to our smart crate, and we'll go with the first one here. All right, we're in our smart crate. What if I wanted to sort by BPM? obviously we have pitch faders, we can make BPM corrections, but if I want to, I can get some stuff grouped a little bit closer to each other and have less sporadic adjustments on BPM. So now I have 2 layers of filtering. I have the key, which I want to be in for a while, and now I have it sorted by BPM. The other option is artist. So we're still in the same key, but now we have an artist sort, or we can do a song sort, or we could do a genre sort. So it's a second layer of sorting within that particular key, which you can't really do in a standalone mode on a CDJ or a Denon Prime through a stick library. That's why I like Serato, is because I could do all these great little things. You know, I can have a top pick smart crate, can have you know, something that has a throwback vibe to it, and I can use comments or other ways to manage that.
Oh wow, what a great idea! I don't utilize comments much. I'm going to totally start to utilize comments, because I would really put it in the title of the song, like you did there with the car, like with adding car or something like that. I mean, sometimes I would do something like that, but that's now I'm getting the whole smart crate thing. I'm totally getting that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's one of those things where I suggest going in and playing around. It's a very easy way to define some variables and try multiple attributes. So you can really get granular with it. You could decide if you want to go genre and then isolate it to do a second roll and isolate it to a different BPM, which could be kind of fun. There's just so much you could do with these. And the nice part is when you make these rolls up, it auto-populates from your entire library. So you can actually go ahead and have fewer regular crates and use your smart crates to do all of your divisions and all of your segments and breaking it out a little more granularly. If you wanted to do it by genre, you could just lump everything into a few crates and then use smart crates to make it all happen.
Wow. Very cool. I'm sold.
There we go. We'll have to do a whole nother segment, right?
The one thing too that I saw that you use. Do you use a lot the colors? There's a little color coding all the way off to the left hand side, or at least you can drag. I think it stays to the left. I don't think you can drag the colors anywhere but from the left hand side.
Sure. Not terribly often. So the color coding you can use for your levels of intensity or however you want to define a track. Cue points, that what I like to do sometimes if I'm going to use the cues and the performance pads, where I take sections of Vox or particular sections of track and I want to have sort of cue play with them, it's nice to be able to take the definition of each one of those cues. Instead of just it being a time position indicator, you can actually write something like drop or Vox 1 or Vox 2, or actually if it's like, for example, Adele's big hello at the beginning of the song, you can just tag it hello and really define your cue points if you want to, which is it can be helpful if you want to really dive into the performance element of being a DJ on some of the modern technology.
Okay.
Do you use a lot of DJ drops?
Sometimes I do. I generally, my style is to do a lot of layering, and I'll take Vox from one track, lay it over another track,
Nice.
EQ or filter maybe a little bit, do a lot with of those Vox in loops, and I have a lot of fun that way.
I do the same, Sammy. I do the same thing. That's exactly like I like playing around like that. Or I like the house mixes of the rock stuff. That's been my thing.
Yeah.
I've been finding all these crazy house mixes, but it's the old rock and roll, the old classic rock and roll. And every time I find something, it blows me away. But then it's something different, but it's still got a cool little house kick to it. So
it is, and you know what? The audience responds super well because they recognize that music so well. But now it's super exciting because it fits what
different.
you're doing for the evening. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah,
I have a very unique Blink 182 dub remix that's you probably won't find anywhere. I'll have to.
Oh wow!
I'll have to get your ears on it. It's really fun.
I did. Yeah, I had a few. I found a couple Nirvana that were totally like, wow, these are really cool. But then I found 2 or 3 versions. What was it? Jack White, the White Stripes. With it, the Seven Nation Army song, but it's
Yeah.
done in techno. It's done in like a really hard bassy, bong, 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 bong. I was wild, and I started using them in my mixes. I'm like, wow, some cool stuff. So anyway, I digress. Speaking of bass, why don't we just jump right to that, because that's the other topic that we can really finish up on. And really, it's why you are who you are. You know, the VP of Sales at Bass Boss. An element that moves the dance floor, you know, bass, with subs and low frequencies. I remember as a kid, you know, we put on this, and I'm gonna date myself. We put on the Stereophonic album, and it was on your hi-fi system, and it would play all of those tones within, you know, the sequence there. It would come all the, and they would say, this is blah 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 kilohertz, and it would be like, and then it would go all the way down to, and it would shake the hell out of our whatever it was, Radio Shack or whatever system it was. You know, as a matter of fact, I think it was I think it was Bose, actually, the Bose wooden one that day. But regardless, it would shake everything. And my mom, she had like little teapots or whatever, with that when that bass came, it would just rattle everything off of it. And as a kid, I was just like, ooh, that's funky. So talk about
it. Sounds very reminiscent to my younger days, and I'm sure there was some China dancing around at some point.
But that low frequency, that's the bass that I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely. You know, it's anything from what you hear audibly to a kick drum that really thumps you in the chest, down to stuff that is subsonic. You can't really hear it. You're feeling it, and it just evokes a really unique emotion. Listening to music is one thing, but when you get into an environment that really rocks you, it totally captivates you. So if we take, for example, you know, some action scenes in a really serious movie theater, and you're just like, whoa, you're rocked to the core. Or if you've been in a really well done home theater that has some serious power, you're very impressed. And I'm sure all of us, especially, you know, based on our age group, the car stereo scene, the stuff that you would hear for blocks away. I mean, you get into some of those vehicles, the intensity and the low frequency reach was always exciting. And one of the shortcomings that is often found in the pro audio world, the event world, is, wait a minute, I know that track, but that track, there's notes that are missing. Like, I'm hearing it in my car, but I'm not hearing it at this wedding. Like, what's up? And that's part of the part of the quest. It's like, okay, we've heard it in other areas, other venues, but it's not coming through in a mobile production environment. And that's part of the equation. It's like creating that accurate sound of, if there's content there, it's important to be able to reproduce it for your audience. And what I've noticed is many subwoofers will operate in a very bell curve output. You know, the goal is, if we're targeting a frequency range, let's say 25 hertz to 80 or 100 hertz. If a subwoofer is performing in a bell curve, something like this, and it's doing very well in 60 to 80 hertz territory, but it's losing 10, 15, 20 decibels as it goes from 60 down to 30, well, that's an issue, because now you have a subwoofer that's performing fairly well in a very small area, let's say a span of 20 hertz, but where a lot of modern music has come in, and it could be pop, it could be hip hop, reggaeton, you name it, not just EDM. The content is now there. So as time goes on, it's more and more important to be able to reproduce these frequencies at full volume. That's what makes us different. We've incorporated so much power. We have power, we have drivers that can handle it. The enclosure design is really developed to maximize what we're doing in terms of output and the driver selection. And then the tuning, our signature tuning and DSP, gives you very linear output from, let's say, 100 or 80 all the way down to 30 hertz or below, depending on the model. Actually, some of our stuff will take you to 21 hertz before the roll-off happens. And that is a game changer. That's what really makes people's jaws drop.
I get it. All right. I'm sitting here looking over at my I'm like, oh, okay. Now when you said the word bell, correct? That's the bell in our
Correct.
cross fader. In other words, a lot of us think of it as a frown, the upside down frown, meaning your left side is the far left side. If you're looking at your controllers, to those that wouldn't know or don't know this, they should know your far left side, the one all the way to the left, that's your treble, or those as you move, and then those in the middle obviously are your mid-range, and then those all the way off to the and correct me if I'm wrong, all the way off to the right hand side, if I'm looking, there are your bass, correct?
So depending on the mixer or what board you're utilizing, a lot of times they're vertical. You'll have highs, mids, and lows in a vertical string, and typically the high is in the upmost position, and the mid's in the middle, and the low is in the lowest position for a logical connection.
But if it were like say a band, like say a 12-band graphic equalizer, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, those.
If you're looking at a sort of like a line graph.
Yes.
Your lows on your left side, so take your left hand, hold that out.
Right.
Your low frequency on a graphical sense resides on your far left. And then on the right-hand side, maybe all the way up to 20 kilohertz is where your high frequencies reside. Okay. And somewhere in the middle, generally, if people remember their old home and car stereos, you would have some adjustment to your graphic EQ. And even some audio systems now will allow you to go in there and tailor the curve to your liking.
Well, that's the DSPs. Yeah, when you mentioned digital, all the digital now are meant to mock that, and really what we see, or what I've been seeing, commercial and even in professional world, are these curves, whether it's the bell curve or it's the smiley face. Now, and the reason I said that, stating left and right, and as I look at this, and as I try to teach this, is what you're telling me now is because of all this technology, not just with BASSBOSS, but anybody really, we should be utilizing a smiley face. In other words, keeping the mids down, or really just maxing it out in a line. If we had to utilize, whether it were the graphic equalizers and or the DSPs, or just pick what like classical or some, because some are words. Some don't even give you the idea to see it with your eyes as it were a graph.
Absolutely. Generally speaking, when you're talking about tuning a system, our stuff, the beauty is it's designed to be plug and play to give you a very linear output across the whole spectrum. So that makes it easy as a sound engineer or even just a mobile DJ. Plug in. Yes. Very little.
Then you have the DJ out there, Sammy, that's throwing they might not have all the money in the world, and they're throwing their stuff together. And I get it, and that's a lot of guys out there that I work with. They have these speakers over here, and they might not be in. They're running through, this rack system. I'm like, what do you have a rack for? I introduced them to the Go rack, and they're like, what are you talking about? And they'll have something like that, an old equalizer or whatever, thinking, ooh, I'm boosting and I'm checking my sound, I'm doing this. And the sound gets lost in the shuffle. Gabe's smiling because he knows what the hell I mean.
Yeah, a crowd ain't with a realistic mixer. No, but as a house DJ, I'm sure you've used like a Uri rotary stuff. Is there any kind of rotary setup that you found with Denon or anything, or like you just?
I haven't. One of my colleagues, he has an older rotary that's really slick, and of course I'm on the spot and I can't remember the name of it, if it was a Rodec or it's a really nice piece of hardware. And I know a lot of folks have been digging the rotary stuff. There was somebody that brought back a rotary mixer recently. Was it Rain? I'm trying to recall. But
all right, stop. You talk rotary. I'm thinking like a rotary phone. I don't even know if you remember what they were. All right.
Yeah.
Look,
I have a question about
you all short.
If I were to advise real quick on the best practices for people running a system that does require tuning, there's two ways you can go about it. You can look at it from additive tuning or subtractive tuning. Additive is basically like, oh, I don't hear enough bass, so let me bump the EQ up to try and add more. And what that does is it really overdrives things. It can lead to distortion. It can lead to failures or premature wear. The best approach is actually to do subtractive tuning, where you say, okay, I'm not getting enough bass, so let me pull down mids, maybe I pull down highs and try to level off there. You're going to end up losing some SPL, but you're going to gain in sound quality, reduce your distortion, and have just a better overall experience.
Nice.
People can try and do it by ears. Generally speaking, if you're going to go for accuracy, you would want to incorporate some measurement microphones. Smart is one of them, but Smart isn't always the best for low frequency measuring. LMS is one of the ones that we like to use. Ultimately, that's getting super technical for somebody that wants to go out and do mobile events. I usually recommend going for a clean approach and not adding too much processing, and definitely don't add additive EQing. You're better off subtracting and going from there.
All right,
Can
cool.
you tell our
Thank you,
guests-
Sammy. Now, Gabe, we're gonna have to cut it short, but hang out in the green room. Dave, do me a favor. Can you
Yep.
take us out of here, buddy?
Absolutely. Well, Sammy, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We'll have to do a part 2 with you for sure, because I know
Yeah, thank you,
this is
Sammy.
a very good topic. So just want to thank everybody for watching. As always, we appreciate you all, and we will see you next week for another episode of In the Cube podcast. Be sure to follow everybody on the show, and especially our great guest who joined us tonight.